welcome to our program World Today. I'm your host Sharmeen Ali. Today, Pakistan, the entire nation, observed solidarity with Kashmir Day, and the entire nation, on the request of Prime Minister Imran Khan, came out of their offices and their schools and their homes to show solidarity in Kashmir Hour, which was from 12 to around 1 o'clock p.m. Prime Minister Imran Khan also came out on the Prime Minister's Secretariat's front, and he said that he made a speech which was a very heartfelt speech, and he said that since I've promised to be the ambassador for Kashmiris around the world, I'm going to continue to do so at every forum. And he also said that in order to understand the situation of the Kashmiris right now in Indian occupied Kashmir, the world must understand the nature of the views and the philosophy and the thinking of the RSS right now, who is the current regime, the government that is running India right now. So he went into details about that as well. And at the same time, he said that the entire nation, all of Pakistan, is standing with Kashmir. So after that also, he mentioned his success on the international level of spreading this message about Kashmir, as far as speaking to international leaders is concerned, and as well as speaking to international media is concerned, as well as the Foreign Office and all their efforts, the Foreign Minister's efforts, that Pakistan has really made some headway in bringing this issue of Kashmir to the forefront internationally, whereas previously it had been largely ignored and there had been complete silence about this issue. We will be speaking about all of these things in our program today with our guests. We have with us today Mr. Naseem Siddiqui, who's a senior journalist, and we also have with us Dr. Waleed Rasool, who's a senior analyst. Thank you so much, both of you, for being on our program today. Dr. Waleed, I'd like to begin by asking you that Prime Minister Imran Khan, he came out and he addressed the nation today in the Kashmir Solidarity Hour, and he said that 8 million Kashmiris are under curfew for 25 days, and we are standing with them. Would you like to comment on that? 8 million Kashmiris under curfew. Now, 25 days, how long is it going to be? That we know that there have been in excess of about 500 protests already in Kashmir and Indian occupied Kashmir, and that there's been excess use of force, and we know what's going on over there because there are reports coming out from different sources, yet the international media and observers are not allowed there. So what would you like to comment about that?
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Prime Minister. Since I am Kashmiri myself and my family is also in the Srinagar.
Okay.
And you might knowing what will be the gravity of the pain we are feeling. And definitely if there is a strong voice from state, particularly from the heads of the state, Prime Minister himself, the President, Foreign Office, and it is prestigious institutions, it sends a great signal, a great message to the people who are in the siege, number one. Number two, you might have gone today's story covered by BBC in Anantnag district, where they said we have been tortured, and then when we felt unconscious, they give us the currents so we can get back to conscience, and then again we get tortured. Actually, the gravity of situation is so tense that when they halted any and every sort of the communication, and it was all by design that the pain should not be represented, and there should be no voice outside. It was the plan. It was the dual doctrine that you have to keep that pain also caged, which can highlight the Kashmir issue and their plight. And I think it is not the first time India is doing it. It continues since 1989 till date. It is a journey of 30 years Kashmiris are passing through. But as a Kashmiri and as a son of soil and as a proud Pakistani, I want to convey to international community that it is not a separatist movement. It is not a sectionist movement. It is a legitimate movement ratified by United Nations resolutions. That means that our legitimacy is in right itself that what we want. So I don't think so that the international community is not aware about that. But really, We are grateful to the state, particularly Mr. Prime Minister Imran Khan. He is personally recasting various foreign ministers and also prime ministers and the head of states and conveying our voice.
So you had mentioned that you have family in Indian occupied Kashmir. So can you tell us right now about their state and what they may be saying is happening over there? Do you have any news from them or anything?
Nothing,
like
no. Since 25 days, I have talked neither to my brothers nor my sisters, since there is no communication.
Okay.
But I have a friend in Jammu and Delhi who moves to and fro. But he can't go to my home. He is just saying about what is going on the civil lines areas where he is allowed.
So between Delhi and Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, the
Yeah.
roads have been blocked as well?
The roads hasn't blocked, but there are some sort of air facilities, particularly for those people who are government servants. They can go to and fro. They are bringing some sort of. It has been happening in 90. It has been happening in 1947 also. And before that, when our voice was not getting out, and it was the Lahore media, if you go to history, they were bringing our plight when Maharaja were committing same suicides and so on. And it is same process is revived by present government, that they are giving voice to voiceless. And I think it is now time that we should be very much clear that despite anybody helps or not, we have to continue our struggle, because it is a struggle of 5 generations.
Yes.
And
so
it
can
has
you
been
also explain a bit to our viewers about the people in Indian occupied Kashmir, since you have your direct family there? They've been struggling with this now for the last 3 decades of oppression by the Indian army. What makes them stay there, where the life is so difficult? What is it in their hearts that makes them remain in that land where they're persecuted so badly, and you're not certain about life the next day, let alone living anything in a normal way?
I was a small child. I was not knowing what is happening. My father, Hakim Habibullah, was an activist of Mahazira-i-Shumari. And at that time, when Sheikh Abdullah transferred Mahazira-i-Shumari into national conference, and then I have seen since my birthhood that my father was being arrested, and my mother was saying that he is a freedom fighter and we want that this land should not be go to India. So it is in our legacy now, the struggle.
Okay.
So I have recently wrote a paper named Resistance, Resilience and Fear Factor. When it touches certain limits, you become fearlessness and your degree of resistance increases.
Okay.
It is all but natural. But since when there is complete lockdown, definitely what is happening inside, when they don't have no food, no medicine, no access to hospitals, you can imagine how the bad situation is.
Yes.
When you are not getting any sort of news from any quarters inside the Kashmir.
Absolutely.
And there are so many hurdles they have created, and they can't travel. Even there is no any landline also. So in the era of globalization, what fascist Modi and his Sangh Parvar is doing, it is really what is relating our Prime Minister with Hitler and Mussolini. The situation is the same.
Exactly. So, Mr. Naseem Siddiqui, now I'd like to ask you this, that now Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that they're going to start a campaign going forward, other than a weekly event which he had earlier mentioned that we're going to do in Pakistan to show solidarity with the Kashmiris. He also said now this new campaign they're going to start is to remove the curfew in Indian occupied Kashmir, and they're going to work towards that and bring that up in every forum. Do you think that a campaign like that might be successful?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sharmeen, thank you very much for inviting. Yes, I've seen first time that on government level, like Prime Minister is taking lot of interest in Kashmir matters. He has come on the front foot. He has announced himself as the ambassador of Kashmir.
Yes.
So this is the first time I've seen. Otherwise, in the past, you have seen there were chairmen for the Kashmir committees, but they were just enjoying the perks, and they have done nothing for the Kashmiris. So first time I've seen that foreign office is very much active at the moment. Our ambassadors are very much mobilized, and Prime Minister Imran Khan himself has taken himself on the front, and he is sending messages to the whole of the world, because he is an honest leader. So people and the leaders of the world are listening to him, whatever he is saying. First time you have seen that President of America, Trump, has taken interest in Kashmir, and our government is doing a lot for this first, and they are raising their voices at the moment.
Yeah.
Definitely when they will be going to the world leaders and celebrities and telling them that what's happening in Kashmir at the moment, the reality, because it's a shame for the world as well, because it's not a matter of the freedom of Kashmir at the moment. It's a humanitarian crisis. It's the 26th day of curfews going on there, and nobody is doing, the world is doing nothing at the
Yes,
moment.
absolutely.
The human rights organizations, they haven't said anything. What's Red Cross is doing? What is UNO doing? It's the brutality and the atrocities done by Modi's government in Kashmir. Nobody knows, as Dr. Saab said, that's very true. I can feel his, whatever he's feeling at the moment, because his family is over there. So how is sitting here, how is he will be eating, how will be he's spending his days, because he don't know anything about his family.
Yes.
So nobody knows in the world at the moment what's happening inside.
And this is exactly what you're hearing from other people also. Our colleagues here in PTV, they have their Kashmiris here as well, who work here, and they have sisters, brothers living in Indian occupied Kashmir, and just like Sir has said, they have not had any contact
in this
with
era
them.
of globalization, there is no facilities of telecommunication. How those people will be surviving in the curfew without food? Markets are not open, without medicine. How the old people will be surviving? How the children will be surviving? What's happening inside, nobody knows. And world is taking no interest at the moment. That's a big shame for them.
That's a very big shame.
UNO should send some envoys to Kashmir, to the occupied Kashmir, to see the reality, the ground reality. And European Union and the other communities should stand up for the rights of the Kashmiris at the moment, because there is a big human rights crisis.
Right, absolutely. It seems like the heat is building up, because just recently in US Congressmen, a lot of them have been speaking up, starting with Ilhan Omar, and one of them, Representative Don Baer, he tweeted today, "I'm very concerned about the situation in Kashmir, particularly the ongoing communications blackout. I've heard from constituents cut off from their families who are worried about what will happen to them despite the blackout the world is watching." And another one, Representative Ted Lieu, he said, "I'm also hearing from constituents who cannot contact family members in Kashmir and have no idea if they're safe. And democracies like India should not be engaging in a communications blackout that has lasted over 3 weeks. We need de-escalation, not the hiding of what's happening." So, sir, would you like to comment on this, Dr. Willie, that this subject is being discussed at many different forums that we didn't see happening earlier. We're seeing this in the British Parliament, we're seeing this in the US Congress. The UN Security Council has met for the first time in over 50 years to discuss this issue. So do you think that the efforts of the Pakistani leadership and the media and everybody, whoever is trying, and the diaspora, is bringing about some fruit?
Madam, Kashmir is not only my subject in my studies, but I am a primary sample of it. One is subject, you are reading just books, or you are peeping in the past and going through any analysis. I have been sample of that, what is happening. And my observation is clear about it. In 1971, when there was an aggression against Pakistan and Pakistan was fragmented, and the international law, chapter 7, is that if there is an aggression against any state, the international community should intervene, and they will go to the side if any state is being raided or being invaded. That didn't happen. And contrary to this, there was an argument from Indian side. Since there is a humanitarian crisis in the Dhaka and we intervened on the basis of the human rights. Same argument we are requesting to the government of Pakistan, that, we have to do something more from diplomatic, political and moral front. And that is a need of an hour. And if you are speaking in terms what international community will do, I am clear about it because it is my subject. UNSC has passed only 2 resolutions so far. One in 1951 against Korea, and 9 in 2002 against Iraq. That is the economic blockade. But our today crisis and the catastrophe and the human rights crisis is one step ahead. And we are giving a suggestion and advice and also a reason what we can do. Definitely, you have to make the ground. When you are moving slow and steady, you cut it the diplomatic diplomatic contact with the India, and you send back the diplomat from Islamabad back to Delhi, and then you stop the trade, and then we requested the government of Pakistan that they should seriously consult that the airspace should be also blocked, because it is a message.
Actually, which
they are discussing, they are
right
debating, and they are discussing. This is the step-by-step approach. Since it is not now the problem of the people who are the sieged. I have wrote one of more paper that is hybrid war to hydro war, correlation with the Kashmir issue. I have already anticipated that they can use water as a weapon. So since we are living in the lower Reprine, you should not promote it just like a Kashmir issue, but it is an issue of the Pakistan. The Pakistan has stake in the Kashmir, because my stake is also there. Pakistan has also the stake
so
in
that
the Kashmir
aggression
issue.
has to stop, because everybody is being
aggression has to stop, and they have to convey them that you have to lift the siege. And one correction is required in the print and electronic media, that Article 35A or 370 is not the matter of the concern. Matter of concern is right to self-determination.
Exactly. So now Prime Minister Imran Khan also said that the RSS philosophy he was mentioning, so I'd like to ask you this, that Mr. Naseem Siddiqui, that they think that Muslims should be taught a lesson because they ruled us and they are not equal citizens. So can you elaborate a bit on that? Because he spoke a lot about this philosophy and how it took inspiration from the Nazi philosophy, whereas, and then the world ignored what Hitler did, and then it led to World War II. So he says that he's going to go and bring awareness about this internationally, because it's going to affect the whole world as well. So would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think that people were not aware of RSS before that Imran Khan has started speaking about RSS. Yeah. People were just knowing that Modi is doing this one.
Nobody was aware really that much.
Nobody was aware, and there is a RSS ideology is just like Nazis' ideology. In Europe, even if you talk about Kashmir, nobody was that much interested. But first time I've seen that when they are told that Modi and RSS has the same ideology as Nazis and Hitler were, so they are taking interest now. Their eyes are open now that some Hitler or Nazism has come in the Southeast Asia as well. So RSS ideology is to deculminate the whole of the ethnicity from the India, and there would be an Hindu Raj, Hindutva, they are just promoting over there. You have seen on social media that most of the Muslims, they are just beaten for sacrificing the cow, or the other ethnicity people, Christians, even Sikhs. They are not safe in India. This is not that India used to be before, like a secular India. It's going to be India for the Hindus only. All of the ethnic minorities, they are suppressed in the rule of Modi, because Modi is following the ideology of RSS. He is not following the ideology of BJP. In the disguise of BJP, he became the Prime Minister of India, and now he is using the ideology of RSS. And that's what he has done by revoking the Article 370 and taking over like Kashmir. And UNO must take action on this one, because due to the UNO is supposed to solve this problem of Kashmir between Pakistan and India. And yes, the RSS ideology is being powered in India at the moment, and Modi is using all his powers at the moment, and world should awake now, and they must take some action. And the curfew from Kashmir should be gone as quick as possible. They can take off the curfew from there, because that's the biggest humanitarian crisis at the moment. And we'll see what happens when the curfew will be lifted from there. Then we will come to know that what atrocities and brutalities has done, how much genocide has been done over there. And telecommunication should be on, so people can see, world can see what's happening, actually happening in Kashmir at the moment.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Naseem Siddiqui, Sab, and Dr. Waleed. We're going to stop for a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to discuss this topic further. Welcome back. We're talking about Kashmir Solidarity today that was observed all across Pakistan today in the Kashmir Solidarity Hour, how Prime Minister Imran Khan appeared outside the Prime Minister's Secretariat and spoke to the country about how all of Pakistan stands with Kashmir. So we have with us now Advocate Pervez, who is an all-parties Hurriyat Conference member, and we also have with us Maliha Hashmi, who's an analyst. Thank you, both of you, for joining us today on our program. Advocate Pervez, now being from Kashmir and being part of the APHC, All Parties Hurriyat Conference, can you please apprise us right now about the situation with the people in Indian occupied Kashmir right now? The curfew has been there for 25 days. We just had another guest who was from Kashmir. He said that there's no communication whatsoever with friends and family members. However, riots have been taking place and pellet guns have been used, and a lot of people have been killed, and tens of thousands of people have been detained. So can you please elaborate for us a little bit about what life is like right now for Kashmiris?
Thank you very much. First of all, on behalf of All Parties Hurriyat Conference, I would like to thank Prime Minister of Pakistan, people of Pakistan, for showing the solidarity with the people of Indian occupied Kashmir, which was much needed at this time when the people of Jammu and Kashmir are under siege. And what is going on in Kashmir, from Kashmir we can get a smuggled news. We don't have the direct contacts with the people because, you know, all the telephone lines are blocked and there is no access but some information is being smuggled which reaches to us, and the situation is that people of Jammu and Kashmir are under lock. They are inside their homes, but still they are resisting. We have the reports that there have been more than 500 protesters since 5th of August, and more than 150 people got pallet victims. It means that people are ready for the resistance, but just waiting once this lockdown is removed and once the curfew comes to an end. So the people of Jammu and Kashmir have made their mind that they have to resist against this unconstitutional, unlawful act which is against the international norms, against the United Nations resolutions. So there is a concern, APIC has a serious concern that in Jammu and Kashmir the situation is going from bad to worse.
Sir, can you tell us a little bit about the state and condition of women, and especially children in occupied Kashmir? They're not going to school because it's not safe enough. Schools have been closed in all of these 25 days. Plus, there are many children who've been victims of pellet gun injuries. Right.
Yes, of course. You see, the government of India made an announcement that they have opened the schools, but people are not ready to send their children to the schools.
Okay.
Basically, the reason for this is, number one, there is a security concern, and secondly, the people think that if there is a cause that is more precious and more important than going to school. Definitely, we need education for our children, but what we have lost and what we are going to lose by this annexation, definitely people are seriously concerned, and they wish that their children should not go to the school, and it should not give a message to the international community that the situation is going towards the normalcy. So this can be the one reason. And secondly, the hundreds of children have been arrested by occupation forces, and some have disappeared, and without any warrant, without giving any reason, and even the parents does not know where their children are. Most of the children have been taken outside the state. So there is a concern, and especially when we talk of healthcare, the women does not have the access to the hospitals, and we have seen that there have been the deliveries on the roads, and definitely the position is not too good for children as well as for the women.
Right. So now let me ask you this, Malia Hashmi. I wanted to, Prime Minister Imran Khan said that when there is injustice against Muslims, that is when the UN and other organizations, they stay silent. Now, this is a very strong statement, and we're seeing this with Kashmir for over decades. Would you like to comment about that right now?
Exactly. The situation in Kashmir at the moment is crazy, and Imran Khan is spot on. Prime Minister is absolutely on point when he says that if today Muslims are endangered, the very next day you'll see other ethnicities also being prone to the same sort of treatment by Hindus. So Hindutva fascist mindset that Modi has been inspired by, Modi and the entire RSS camp seems to be inspired by that Nazi German philosophy also, where there only one specific ethnicity ruling over the rest. So obviously we've seen it in our lives that whenever Muslims are endangered, whenever there's any mishap in any Muslim majority area, criticism comes in very easily. But there's hardly anyone standing up for Muslims. But when it comes to support other ethnicities, then the whole world in these international organizations, they stand up in their solidarity. So he's right. And Indian media and Indian establishment is being really funny at the moment. On one hand, they claim that Kashmiris are all happy with the abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A. But on the other hand, there's this blanket curfew for the past 25 days. So this is reflective of how weak they are. They cannot really digest the fact that Kashmiris are resenting against it. And they think that using this communications blackout, they will be able to suppress Kashmiri's voice. This is not right. Despite having this immense communications blackout there, despite having this zero media intervention there, we still see BBC, CNN, Washington Post and Guardian covering all of what's happening there, doing stories on Kashmir. So Kashmir issue is actually being internationalized after 50 to 55 years for the first time. So this is a huge achievement for Pakistan on diplomatic front, And I think Pakistan needs to push its narrative with a bit more force and with a bit more strength.
So the Prime Minister also said that in his article with the New York Times, which has come out, he's saying just now that the RSS philosophy is not just dangerous for Muslims but for Christians as well. And he said that the RSS philosophy does not doesn't respect the courts of India, and also that they only follow Hindutva. So sir, would you like to comment on this, that how has India become dangerous for all other minorities, even other than Muslims?
Yes, the Prime Minister is rightly promoting what India is, because India till date has been under the cover of the sham democracy, and it has been talking to the world and selling this democratic cult. But what Prime Minister is doing, I think this is the right direction which Prime Minister has taken, and this by this way it is actually showing what the Indian face is. We have seen that in India a Muslim is not equal to a cow. Because you see, if a Muslim
cow is more sacred.
Cow is more sacred than a Muslim. We have seen that they have demolished it. There was a few days before, there was in Delhi, there was a protest, a big protest against India, because they have demolished their temple of the Dalits. So Dalits have always been the victim of the Brahmins, and you should keep one thing in the mind, that India has always been ruled by the elites, by Brahmins. And
exactly.
that is the case, that they have never thought that Brahmins will be given any position or any sort of a respect within India. So what Prime Minister is doing, till this date, India has been blaming Pakistan for its radicalization, but in fact, India is more radicalized. So it is very important, and this is the right direction which Prime Minister has taken, and it is a convincing to the international community that what India is and what Indians are doing in India. What they are doing in Kashmir, it is being known to everybody. But what they are doing in India, it is basically very necessary and very important to apprise the whole world.
So what they've done in Kashmir now, with the abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A, India has actually brought the whole world's attention to what they are doing within India also, to the minorities and Muslim population and all. And we've seen. You might have come across Dr. Amarjeet Singh's statement, where he said that we do not call Indian Punjab as Punjab anymore. We call it as occupied Punjab, Indian occupied Punjab. So the demand for Khalistan is, rising, and the mistreatment towards Christians is also visible to the whole world. So Modi has actually, in an attempt to suppress Kashmiri's voice and in an attempt to finish the special status of Kashmir, Modi has actually worked the other way around for his agenda.
Absolutely. So now Prime Minister Imran Khan is saying that he's going to raise the topic in the UN General Assembly, and he said that I've spoken to President Trump, President Macron, Angela Merkel and Muslim leaders, and he's told all of them about, if the world today doesn't stand against the fascist Modi regime, it will affect the entire world. And just like Hitler was ignored, 5 to 6 crore people, which is about 5 million to 6 million people, were killed in World War II. So he compared the two things, the two situations of World War II and Hitler, and right now what's happening with Kashmir. So now what do you think that his impact is going to be at the UN General Assembly, Malia, sorry.
You see, the build-up before that session is amazing. Pakistan's message is getting across the world. The way Pakistan has observed Kashmir today speaks volumes about Pakistan's commitment towards this cause. The way Pakistanis came out in huge numbers on the streets to show solidarity with Kashmir is actually a build-up towards the UN General Assembly session. And if you remember, last year in September 2018, when the same United Nations General Assembly session took place, so Pakistan actually made a huge effort for arranging a meeting between the foreign ministers of Pakistan and India, Shah Mahmood Qureshi and late Sushma Swaraj ji. But India cancelled the meeting. So Pakistan is the one that's been trying its level best. Pakistan has actually been bending over backwards to stop this madness, and Pakistan has been trying to ignore and avoid this direct military confrontation, towards which Modi has been pushing Pakistan and India. So I believe that this article that got published in New York Times, written by Imran Khan, Prime Minister Pakistan Imran Khan, and a lot of other associated efforts that Pakistan is doing on diplomatic front and on media and international media also, will be quite helpful for building up a huge momentum before United Nations General Assembly session, where Imran Khan will be addressing, and he will be highlighting not only the plight of Kashmiris, but also the Indian atrocities that have been there for the past 72 years. But now that this illegal and illegitimate abrogation of Article 370 is there, so the whole world can also view the fact that how India is flouting international law and its own constitution shamelessly, and where India is headed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So now I would like to now speak about how Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that he's going to start this campaign, number one, to lift the curfew. So when and if the curfew is lifted, it will eventually have to be lifted. And if this is successful, Advocate Pervez, being from Kashmir, what is the first thing do you think is going to happen in Indian occupied Kashmir? Is it going to be, okay, it's going to be open for the media and people will be communicating, we'll know the situation, but is there going to be a massive flare-up, and are you expecting to see violence after that?
Yeah, of course it will be. You have just seen, if you have been monitoring this whole situation from Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the building, the ICE building which India has constructed, built it for the last 27 years, it has just melted, because those who have been on the side of the India and had been promoting Indian narrative, they have spoken against the India that they were on the wrong side. So surely it will not be only the Kashmiris, the resistance leaders, or the leaders who are demanding for the freedom, those all who have been supporting India inside the Kashmir, they will be on the roads, and it will be very difficult for India to deal with the situation. And it has been a popular demand from the people of Jammu and Kashmir, from international community, from UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, that the right freedom of speech and expression should be restored to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And a special rapporteur on freedom of opinion and expression, David Kay, has a day before yesterday issued a statement that this blockade should come to an end and people should be given the right to freedom of speech and expression. And once this freedom of expression is restored and people are allowed, India will come to know where he stands. And this is the reason that they have been curbing this freedom of speech and expression, and that is the reason that India has made Jammu Kashmir no-go area for all international organizations and humanitarian organizations, knowing the fact that if any international organization visits to Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, they will come to know what are the facts on the ground and what people of Jammu and Kashmir want.
Absolutely.
So they will make an utmost, they will make an every attempt that the move of Imran Khan should frustrate. But at least what I have the understanding, that this is a basic right. This is a right guaranteed. It is a universal right. If Imran Khan succeeds to get back the freedom of speech and expression to the people of it will be a big achievement.
Yes, please.
I'd like to add something. So by arresting and confining pro-Indian Kashmiri leaders to their houses and by subjecting them to the worst possible behavior, Indian government has actually turned pro-Indian entities, political figures against it. So it is a huge success for Pakistan on diplomatic front also. And interestingly, I was on an Indian news channel yesterday. So it was really amusing to watch India being intimidated and insecure by Pakistan's successful launch of surface-to-surface ballistic Ghaznavi missile, which was an essential part of Pakistan's defense preparations, and it wasn't even supposed to scare India or make them intimidated. So if a trivial test run of a ballistic missile of Pakistan, which is a part of Pakistan's defense preparations, scares the hell out of India, so imagine what their situation will be if, God forbid, the actual show begins.
And this is necessary because at the moment,
Show
Prime
power
Minister
is very,
Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that now when the curfew is lifted and there are protests that are going to happen, in order to distract attention from Indian occupied Kashmir and the atrocities by the army, they might conduct a false flag operation and then do a Pulwama type incident in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. And he said this time around our army is prepared, and even like they were last time, and don't if whatever you throw a brick at us, we'll respond with a stone.
Yeah.
So, sir, would you like to comment on
Yes,
that?
of
both
course.
you?
What Imran Khan has said, we already have the information from Indian occupied Kashmir. I was talking to a friend from Delhi. He had come from Srinagar. He just told me that there is a huge propaganda in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir that some people from Afghanistan has come inside.
We're sending terrorists in
and they have
things
come
like
and they're going to need something. So we are already aware of the fact, and Imran Khan has
So they're
predicted-
building this story for that
they're
false
building
flag
this
operation.
story because India knows once this curfew is lifted, the situation will be altogether different.
Exactly, it's going to be out of their hands.
It is going to be
Exactly.
out of their hands. But I will, from this platform, I would like to suggest there are some important measures which the Pakistan must take at this time. What Imran Khan and the government of Imran Khan is doing, it is wonderful. We appreciate it, but few measures must be taken. Number one is that India has unilaterally annexed Kashmir despite the bilateral agreements. There was an agreement, Shimla agreement, which is much being talked.
Right.
And India has always talking that we are going to resolve the issues by under this agreement.
Right.
When India has unilaterally annexed the Kashmir and changed the status of the Jammu and Kashmir, it has almost violated that agreement.
Right.
So that agreement becomes infructuous.
Okay.
Because once, if there is an agreement between the two states and one of the states unilaterally backs out from that agreement, the states
We're
come
back
back
to
to
square
their
one.
square one, their position. So officially, the government of Pakistan should make an announcement that the LOC, which was renamed when there was a Shimla agreement, it was line of actual control. So from this date onwards, we should call it as it is a line of actual control. It is not LOC, it is a ceasefire line. It will be a clearly message, because otherwise this agreement has lost its significance and importance. But if you are going officially going to make an announcement, at the same time the Kashmiris were not party to that agreement at that time. We have also rejected that at that time. But if India has given you an opportunity, and India has been talking that this Shimla agreement has made UN resolutions irrelevant. If India itself has violated this agreement, so it means that they should officially make an announcement that this agreement is no more valid.
Okay.
Any talks on Kashmir, you
Right.
can say other agreements, they lost their substance.
Unfortunately, we've run
I'd
out
like
of
to
time
add-
for the program. Just a short comment,
So
and then
if-
we have to wind up
If
the
Simla
program.
agreement is not valid anymore, so it means that we are back to square one when first Indian Prime Minister Nehru Sahab took the issue, Kashmir issue, to United Nations. So now is the time for India to listen to United Nations, whose Security Council's 11 resolutions have been violated by India. So I think Pakistan must prepare itself
Point this
well
out, right.
for fighting Pakistan's case in the International Court of Justice.
Yeah,
We
on its
must
legal
highlight
merits
the
as well, right.
unconstitutional measures that have been taken by India.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Malia Hashmi and Advocate Pervez, for joining us on the program and giving your views on the topic. Viewers, that's all the time we have today for this program. Inshallah, we'll see you next time on World Today. That's all for now from me, Sharmeen Ali, and our team at World Today. Bye-bye.